In this question, we are going to answer a series of questions based on a scenario. And we're going to use a tree diagram to help solve it. We are told that 2 bottles of wine are randomly selected for tasting from a box containing 2 red and 2 white wines. So the important things here is that there's 2 red and 2 white, and we're going to select 2 of them. Obviously, if we were to choose one of the bottles of wine at the start, we can either choose a red one or we can choose a white one. If after we've chosen the first red one, we could choose another one and it could be red or it could be white. If we chose a white one first, obviously the second one could be red or it could be white. The important thing to take note of here is that if we replace the bottle, so if we pick it out and then put it back in, or if we take the bottle out and we don't replace it, so it's not replaced, then our fraction and our tree diagram and the weights are going to change. The first question here asks us if the bottle is replaced, which means we pick the bottle out and then we put it back in. Second question says if the bottle is not replaced. So if we take the bottle out and we don't put it back in. Now obviously, 3, 2, 1. Now what we'll do first is we'll answer it if it is replaced. So we pick a bottle of red wine out and then we put a bottle of red wine back in. Every time we have got a half chance of picking out a red or a white wine, don't we? Because we can pick there's 2 reds in there and there's 2 whites, so there's 2 out of 4 for each colour. If we were to complete this tree diagram, we would obviously have red, red here, we would have red, white, we would have white, red, and white, white. Now the fractions is obviously a half times a half times a half, and that's obviously the same down there and the same down there. We know that a half times a half is a quarter. So all of these is a 1 in 4 chance of happening. If we're going to answer these questions here, we might have to add them together or we might be asked them separately. First question says, what's the probability of it being 2 red? Red, red, it's a quarter. The second question here, what's the probability of getting 1 red? Well, out of the 4 outcomes, in 2 of them, there is 1 red in the middle 2. So there's actually 2 out of 4. So there's a 2 in 4 chance, which is a half chance. So there's a half chance of getting 1 red. In the third one here, what's the probability of getting not 2 white? Well, if there was a 1 in 4 chance of getting 2 whites, then there's obviously a 3 in 4 chance of getting 2 whites. Of getting not 2 whites. The last question, the probability at least 1 white. Well, that would include scenario 2, 3, and 4, because we get at least 1 white here, at least 1 white here, and we get at least 1 white here. So that is also 3 in 4. The second part to this question is going to be this green part, and it is if the bottle is not replaced. And to do that, I'm going to have to clear a couple of things off the weighted tree diagram. In the next part of this question, we are going to answer it if the first bottle that we pick out is not replaced. So if we started with 4 bottles in there and we take one out and we don't replace it, then there's going to be 3 bottles in there. So we need to put that onto this weighted tree diagram. So at the start, obviously, we have got a 2 in 4 chance of this happening. of getting a red or of getting a white. If we pick a red one first, then obviously there's only one red left out of the 3 bottles. If we pick a red one first, there's 2 whites still left. If we had picked a white one first, well, there would have been 2 reds left and 1 white left out of the 3 that are remaining. Now this changes our probabilities of each thing happening, because our fraction is going to become 2 over 4, which is obviously a half, times 1 over 3, 2 over 4 times 2 over 3. This one's going to be 2 over 4 times 2 over 3, and the last one's going to be 2 over 4 times 1 over 3. Now simplifying that down is going to equal 2 over 12, which simplifies to 1 over 6, and the next one is going to be 4 over 12, which simplifies to 2 over 6. It's going to be the same here because it's the same question, and the same down here. Now what we can assume after working that out is that there are 6 outcomes possible, because that's the denominator, and a red, there's a 1 in 6 chance of happening. A white, there's a 1 in 6 chance of happening. And to get multicolored, there's 4 chances of that happening, because we could get a red and a white, red first, then a white. There's 2 chances of that happening, and 2 chances of it being a white and then a red. All right, so the probability of getting them is 2 over 6, 2 over 6. To get a mixture, there's a 4 over 6 chance of that happening. Now we're going to answer the questions based around those scenarios. So what is the probability of getting 2 reds? Well, we've already worked that one out, 1 over 6. What's the probability of getting 1 red? Well, we get 1 red in here. We also get 1 red in here. So 2 over 6 plus 2 over 6 equals 4 over 6, which is a 2 in 3 chance of happening. What's the probability of not getting 2 white? Not getting 2 white. Well, getting 2 white is 1 over 6. So the opposite to that is obviously 5 over 6. So there's a 5 in 6 chance of not getting 2 white. And the last one is the probability of getting at least 1 white. There's at least 1 white here, there's at least 1 white here, and there's at least 1 white here. 2 over 6 plus 2 over 6 plus 1 over 6 equals 5 over 6. So there's a 5 out of 6 chance of getting at least 1 white.